Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming OCS exams happening in August 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. So today's session is dedicated towards your Preseen. Therefore, I will be taking you through the internal and external dynamics of your chosen company, which is Halfpenny. And also, I will focus your attention towards how to apply Preseen information when developing your answers. So, talking about the upcoming webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you, the most important webinar out of the 4 webinars which we have scheduled, which is the third one, answering technique, is happening next Saturday at 9 GMT or 10 a.m. UK time. I hope you'd attend it without fail because in this third webinar, I will be teaching you important answering and time management techniques. Not just teaching you these techniques, I will also take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed and explain how to implement these answering and time management techniques in a practical manner. So I hope you attend the third webinar or next week's webinar without fail. And in the fourth webinar, exam prep, I will be taking you through examiner's comments because it's essential that you understand what's expected from you at the exam. And at the same time, I will also share some tips which will make sure that you significantly improve your level of confidence because, when attempting mock exams, definitely you will be exposed to stressful situations. So after the fourth webinar, you will know how to tackle these type of stressful situations. If so, you will successfully manage your stresses at your real examination as well. And once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting the workshop series. And in the first workshop, we are focusing your attention towards your F1 syllabus. So I will take you through the entire syllabus. And at the same time, I will take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed concerning your F1 syllabus and also explain how to develop an answer to gain the most amount of marks. And within, these workshops, I will be conducting a Q&A as well, because as per the study plan, by the time we are conducting our workshops, you should be done with at least 2 mock exams. So definitely you will have questions. So I will address all your questions at each of these workshops. So likewise, I will be conducting 2 more workshops focused on your P1 syllabus as well as your E1 syllabus. And in the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will share last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a higher level of confidence and positivity. Because as per the examiner, if you believe in your skill set, then you will definitely pass this examination. So I hope you attend each of these weekly webinars and workshops in the upcoming weeks. And in each week, we are conducting a webinar or workshop, which is the best way for you to get in touch with me and get all your questions answered. And at the same time, keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis. So make sure to attend these webinars live without fail. All right, so first things first, let's look at Preseen application. What is the right approach? So in order to apply Preseen information when developing your answers, firstly, you need to know your key information. So there's a lot of information on your Preseen document, as you would have realized. Your Preseen document goes on for 25 to 30 pages. So there's a lot of information. You need to understand which of the information is the most are the most important and which of the information you can actually disregard. So you can't do it on your own. That's why we have developed something called the annotated Preseen. So this is what the annotated Preseen looks like. So there's a lot of information. So what we have ideally done is we have summarized all the information so that you can easily remember the most important points highlighted within your Preseen document. So you need not try and memorize all these information. Simply put, you need to be conversant with all the information which I've highlighted here. You will understand the benefit of this document when I'm conducting the Preseen analysis, because based on this annotated Preseen, I will be conducting today's Preseen analysis. So that's one of the resources at your disposal. And at the same time, we have developed a Preseen mind map, which I will share with you after this webinar. And if you go through this Preseen mind map, you can see that we have summarized the entire Preseen in one single document, a single page document, which makes your life easy to understand and remember the most important points which are highlighted within your Preseen document. So we have divided it into several parts. In the first part, we have highlighted the industry dynamics. Then we have explained about the trends which impact your industry, the history and internals of your chosen company, the product range of Halfpenny, what happens within the purchasing department, the production department, the type of sales channels we are dealing with, how our distribution occurs, and how we manage our costing and budgeting initiatives, what appears within our financial statements, what our mission and aims are, as well as what we intend to achieve in the future. So all these things are shared with you in a nutshell. So from today until the day of your exam, simply go through this document, if possible, on a daily basis, so that you'd easily remember the most important points highlighted within your Preseen document. So you need not worry about the first point, because we have actually developed an annotated Preseen, and additionally we have also developed a summary of the entire Preseen, or a mind map of the entire Preseen. So you can easily, after going through these resources, you'd easily remember the most important points which are highlighted within your Preseen document. And also, you need to know your numbers. So that's why we have developed a separate set of slides concerning the financial statements of your chosen company. So we have evaluated the statement of profit and loss, the statement of financial position, and the statement of cash flows, making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement. Also, we have conducted a ratio analysis at the very end. And again, we have explained or evaluated each ratio in depth to make sure that you gain a good understanding of what appears within the financial statements. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you can easily see the various different ratios concerning your company. So it makes your life easy when you have access to this document. It makes your life easy to remember the numbers which you need to be conversant with if you are to do your job successfully as a finance officer. So why is the examiner expecting you to remember the key information about your company, key information which appears within your financial statements, and key information concerning how your industry is run? Because you are supposed to play the role of a finance officer under a real life corporate environment. So if you are to thrive or come up with the best type of evaluations, come up with the best type of recommendations, you need to have an in-depth understanding of what happens within your industry and what happens within your company. So that's why you need to master Preseen information. If not, you might end up conducting evaluations or coming up with recommendations which are not too aligned with what happens within your company, or recommendations or evaluations which are not aligned with what happens within your chosen industry. And when preparing for this examination, you have to be open to face any type of scenario. So you can, based on what appears within the Preseen, you can predict the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you. You will understand how you can do this when I'm conducting the Preseen analysis, because in your Preseen document, towards the end, right before the financial statements, so there's an indication of the type of changes the industry is going through, and at the same time, what your company, Halfpenny, intends to achieve in the future. So all these things appear within the Preseen document. So based on this info, you can predict the type of scenarios which might be thrown at you. However, when preparing for this exam, your job is not to predict what type of questions or scenarios are going to be thrown at you. Instead, your job is to make sure that you are conversant with how each syllabus area can be tested at a case study examination. And at the same time, your job when conducting preparations is to make sure that you significantly improve your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. In a real life corporate environment, you are not in a position, even if you are a board member, even if you are the CEO of the company, you are not in a position to predict what is going to happen tomorrow. and how these changes will impact your company. So there's absolutely no point of trying to predict the type of questions which are going to be thrown at you or the type of scenarios which will be tested at the exam. Instead, your job is to be conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at the exam, and at the same time fine tune your answering, time management and stress management techniques. So it's essential that you do your job and at the same time be open-minded, therefore being ready to face any type of challenge at your examination. And remember that the scenario presented in the exam carries the latest information. So, what appears within your pre-scene gives you an indication of what happened within your industry and what happened within your company in the past. However, at the exam, the examiner will highlight some type of an issue the company is facing at the moment, or some type of an opportunity the company tries to exploit. So you are not in a position to predict these things. So when developing your answers, your job is to consider the information presented in each scenario, presented in each reference material, and based on this fresh information, develop your answers. So you need to have a good understanding of what happened within your company and the industry in the past, and at the same time, when developing answers, you need to consider the fresh information which is shared with you via each scenario, and develop answers which are totally aligned with what appears within each and every scenario. You will gain a better understanding of how to do these things practically when you attend next week's webinar, because when I'm teaching you answering technique, I will explain how we are supposed to achieve all these things. All right. And when developing answers, you can, whenever the need arises, you are expected to include pre-scene information. And when doing so, you are supposed to refer or cite pre-scene info in such a way that it adds value to your answer. So whenever you are bringing in information from the pre-scene, you should do it with the intention of adding value to your answer, or adding weight to your arguments or logic which you present in your evaluations. All right. So when marking papers or going through answers, what I've encountered is students have a tendency to include generic pre-scene information which has nothing to do with the scenario at hand. So for instance, let's assume there's a question which is focused on IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. So when developing the answer for a question which is based on IAS 16, I've seen students in the first paragraph, highlighting generic pre-scene information, such as the fact that Halfpenny is based in this country, and Halfpenny is manufacturing this number of breads, or it is dealing with these type of dealers when trying to sell its products. So the question is on IAS 16, property, plant and equipment, but the student mentions about the number of or the type of products which we sell, where we are based at, and at the same time the student mentions some type of unnecessary information which has absolutely no connection to the question at hand. Because if the question is about IAS 16, you need to cut the crap and get to the point straight away. Start by explaining what IAS 16 is, then develop the answer concerning the information presented to you. So you are not going to get any amount of marks just because you bring in generic pre-scene information which has no relevance to your answer. So therefore, avoid overloading your responses with unnecessary details just to demonstrate that you have studied the pre-scene, because if you try to do so, rather than you gaining marks, you will end up losing marks. Instead, whenever necessary, think about bringing in pre-scene information with the prime objective of adding value to your answers. So for instance, if your question is about IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, I don't think that you can bring in pre-scene information. However, if your question is about CSR, yes, then you can talk about what appears within your pre-scene, for instance, about the company's plan to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. So you can highlight such information in a question which has everything to do with CSR, sustainability, or the CGMA cost transformation model. Other than that, if your question is about IAS 16, there's no point of, there's absolutely no way that you can bring in information from the Preseen with the intention of adding value to your answer. And similarly, if your knowledge pertinent to sales variances are tested, just focus on the information presented to you, focus on explaining the variances and addressing the requirement at hand, rather than trying to bring in Preseen information. Because if there's a question to do with variance analysis, there's no way that you can bring some information from the Preseen, because within your Preseen, there's no indication of any type of variances the company is facing at the moment. All right, so you'd understand how to bring in Preseen info with the intention of adding value to your answers, how to do it in a practical sense after attending the third webinar, answering technique, because I will explain these things in depth. And at the same time, by referring to the suggested answers and answer plans of the 6 mock exams which we have developed, you'd further improve your understanding of how and when Preseen information should be brought in or included within your answers. All right. So then let's try to figure out how we should approach your E1, F1, and P1 syllabi. So as I mentioned earlier in last week's webinar, I said that this is a P1 and F1 heavy examination. So most of the time, 80% of the questions will be focused on your P1 syllabus and 20% of the questions will be focused on your F1 syllabus. You won't see E1 being tested at this stage because there's no decision making at this stage. As I mentioned in last week's webinar, you are playing the role of a finance officer. So your job is to implement the decisions which are arrived at by the board members and middle level management. So as an individual who is involved with implementing decisions on a daily basis, there's no decision making involved. The only type of decision making which comes into play is with regards to recommending KPIs. Other than that, you are not expected to be involved with decision making. That's why E1 is not tested at this examination. Certain parts such as the training cycle and business ethics can be tested, yet it's highly unlikely that you'd see an E1 related question. So you have to be really conversant with your P1 and F1 syllabi. So you have to prepare for application of theories and concepts. So everything which falls under your P1 and F1 syllabi can be tested. I've seen tutors out there saying that certain syllabus areas cannot be tested at this examination, which is not true. Anything which falls under your P1 and F1 syllabi can be tested at the examination. And you are expected to prepare for interpretation of figures and numbers, because as I explained last week in last week's webinar, you are not expected to do any calculations at your examination. All the facts and figures will be shared with you. Your job is to conduct evaluations, considering the facts and figures which are shared with you. So if it's a question to do with variance analysis, or all the variances will be shared with you, your job is to explain these variances, not to calculate the variances. And if it's a question to do with working capital cycle, the receivable days, payable days, and inventory days, as well as the cash conversion cycle, the sales amounts, all these things, all this type of information will be shared with you. Your job is to consider the information and conduct your evaluation concerning the way in which the company manages its short-term finances. So your job is to interpret figures and numbers, not to do any calculations at this examination. And when conducting your preparations, do not skip any topic, because as I mentioned earlier, let's assume you thought to skip break-even point, because definitely your knowledge pertinent to multi-product break-even will be tested at the exam. But most students, since they lack a sound knowledge of what multi-product break-even charts are, or since students don't know how to explain multi-product break-even charts, there's a tendency for most of the students to avoid multi-product break-even chart related questions when conducting preparations. However, at the exam, if a BEP question is thrown at you, the weightage is 60%. So if you're clueless of how to address that type of a question, you are doomed. You end up losing a chunk of marks. Because of that, most probably you'd end up failing your examination. Similarly, if you look at certain other questions tied to linear regression analysis. So most students struggle with regression analysis or linear regression graphs. So because of that, there's a tendency for them to disregard them when conducting preparations. But similar to BEP related questions, if there's a linear regression graph which is thrown at you, the weightage is going to be 60 to 70%. So if you're clueless of how to address such a question, you'd end up failing this examination. So that's why you are not expected to leave out any syllabus area. Instead, you have to be conversant with all topics which appear within your F1 and P1 syllabi. And that's why we have developed 6 mock exams, because the examiner ends up developing 6 mock exams for each Preseen. Why is this the case? Because the examiner intends to cover the entire syllabus. So you can't cover the entire syllabus by developing just 2 or 3 mock exams. So the examiner is forced to develop 6 mock exams. So similarly, we at TCS, we have developed 6 mock exams with the prime intention of ensuring that all syllabus areas are covered within the 6 mocks to make sure that you are not seeing something for the first time at your real examination. So we have covered all syllabus areas. So if you attempt all 6 mock exams and at the same time stick to our study plan, you need not worry about syllabus coverage. And if you're conversant with how each syllabus area is tested and how to approach each type of question, then you will gain extremely good marks at your real examination. And as I mentioned earlier, do not rely on predictions, as any syllabus area can be examined. So that's why you need to achieve a high level of open-mindedness. You are supposed to stick to our study plan. Once you're done with the 6 mocks, once you're done with revision, at the exam, be open-minded, consider the information which is thrown at you, and based on this info, develop answers which are 100% aligned with the scenario and the requirement. All right, so this should be your study plan, and I explained the study plan in depth, what you need to do in the upcoming 7 weeks in last week's webinar. So if you missed out on it, please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our student dashboard and via our YouTube handle. All right, so having said that, let's move on to the second part of today's webinar, in which I'm going to conduct an industry analysis. All right, so first things first, let's look at how your market is defined. So this time Preseen is based on a major player in the packaged bread manufacturing market. So let's look at what these companies are up to, which are into producing packaged bread, packaged breads, or manufacturing packaged breads. So packaged bread manufacturers are mass producers which are into distribution of sliced or unsliced bread, typically wrapped or bagged for an extended shelf life. So you would have seen these things in your market, products similar to these, breads which are packaged in polythene or in an oil paper. And the core value proposition offered by these players within this industry is convenience. We are trying to offer convenience to customers, and we are trying to achieve the same level of consistency with regards to taste, appearance, and the quality. And at the same time, we try to do our business in the most cost-effective manner. So we try to sell these breads as cheap as possible. That's why players within this industry focuses on manufacturing in bulk, or they are involved with mass manufacturing or mass production. Because as you know, whenever a company is involved with mass manufacturing, the fixed cost per unit keeps decreasing. With this, the total cost per unit keeps decreasing, which enables us to conduct our operations in the most cost-effective manner, therefore, which enables us to offer value to customers, thereby offering reduced prices. And players within this industry incorporate preservatives or specific baking methods with the intention of extending the shelf life or ensuring the freshness is retained for an extended time period. So CBP and other types of processes are utilized. with the intention of increasing the shelf life of these products. And looking at product characteristics, various different ingredients are used. Wheat flour, various different types of wheat flour is used, along with yeast, salt, and sometimes, especially the younger customers, look for specialized breads which carries various different seeds, grains, or flavor enhancers. So all these things are integrated in various different products sold by players within this industry. And with regards to packaging, as I mentioned earlier, plastic bags are mostly, players are using plastic bags, and some are using waxed paper wrappers to retain the softness and protect these breads from contaminants. And the shelf life of a typical packaged bread ranges between 7 to 14 days, a week or two. And this can be further extended by, utilizing modern baking techniques, utilizing preservatives. So the youngsters don't like to find preservatives within their breads. That's a point of concern. And at the same time, some players, with the intention of extending the shelf life, use vacuum sealed packaging as well. And looking at the product variants, there's white bread, wholemeal bread, which includes some type of seeds or grain, and gluten-free product ranges are there. Organic product ranges and high fiber as well as high protein lines can be seen to cater the evolving health needs of especially the younger set of customers within the market. So these are the product characteristics, and I want to focus your attention towards, or direct your attention towards, to the industry trends. So let's try to understand how this industry is poised to change in the future. So there's an increased level of focus on health and wellness. So we are thinking in terms of how customer needs are changing this industry. So there's a growing demand for whole grain, packaged breads, lower salt formulas, gluten-free variants, and clean label breads. Clean label breads means that these type of players are sourcing from clean sources or sourcing from ethical suppliers which believe in sustainability. So there's a high level of concern towards the health and well-being, especially given the fact that bread is actually not too good for you. It gives you gastritis, as well as there's a lot of preservatives within breads these days, which is not good for you. So youngsters are trying not youngsters are trying not to eat bread these days. So because of that, the players within this industry has identified this trend. So because of that, with the intention of addressing the needs of this younger segment of customers, they are trying to fulfill the health and well-being related health and wellness rather related needs of this younger set of customers. And there is an increased level of focus on achieving sustainability as well. Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, some players are trying to source wheat from local farmers, because when you source locally, you can significantly decrease your transportation costs. And also they try to source from certified sustainable farms, because younger customers are only investing on packaged bread which are intended to uphold sustainability. And there's a high level of attention towards reducing energy use in baking. There's a lot of energy being consumed when it comes to baking. So with the intention of reducing their costs tied to operation, and at the same time, reducing their carbon footprint, companies are trying to reduce their dependence on traditional energy used in baking. And also, some players are adopting eco-friendly packaging and recycling, because again, the younger segment of customers don't like it when companies are utilizing polythene and plastic wrappers. That's why some players are moving towards eco-friendly packaging. And there's huge influence concerning the artisanal breads as well. So large producers are trying to mimic artisanal textures or flavors, or trying to mimic small bread manufacturers with the intention of capturing the artisanal market. So you can't manufacture these in bulk like the regular breads, because there's not much of a demand for these artisanal ranges. This is a niche market. So because of that, these artisanal bread ranges are not cheap as the normal breads out there. But there is growing demand for these type of artisanal breads, especially from the upper middle class and high income earning customers. And there's a lot of automation and smart tech adoption happening within this industry. Companies are using high speed mixers and advanced ovens to improve consistency and throughput, improve output, because if you can significantly improve your output, then you can reduce your average cost per unit. And at the same time, companies are utilizing technology to track inventory levels and reduce waste, because we are dealing with a product which carries a limited shelf life, so which extends across just 7 to 14 days. So it's essential that we keep track of our inventory, because if we don't do so, we'd overproduce, and when we overproduce, we have to end up throwing our products which are expired. So with the intention of reducing reducing wastage rather, companies are trying to keep track of their inventory, so that you supply as and when needed, rather than supplying in bulk unnecessarily. And retailers are changing as well. Private label expansions and in-store bakeries can undercut branded bread sales, because as I mentioned earlier, youngsters consider bread to be something unhealthy. So because of that, they are moving towards better or high quality breads, which are manufactured using better quality material, which are without preservatives. So there's a shift in demand for these type of breads out there, which had reduced the demand for the normal generic types of breads in the market. So these are the industry trends, and I will further explain what happens within your industry in a little while, when I'm taking you through the Preseen document. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the Preseen analysis, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the OCS page. If you're yet to check the free content, simply click on this button and create a free user account. Once you have done so, you'll see a button which reads as Access Dashboard. So click on it. Once you do so, click on My Courses, and in front of OCS Free, when you click on Access Content, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops we conduct. So we conducted our first webinar last week, so you can access the recorded version via the student dashboard. And you'd also gain access to the Preseen mind map via the study material free of charge. You'd gain access to the syllabus coverage document. So whenever you are attempting a mock exam, make sure that you keep track of how you are covering your syllabus. And at the same time, you will gain access to the answer plan of mock exam 1 under the free content. And under the mocks tab, you will gain access to the questions and answers of mock exam 1. And under the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions via the exam platform which we have developed. So at TCS, we have developed an exam platform which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real examination. So you have the opportunity of attempting your first mock exam free of charge via our exam platform, which can be accessed via our student dashboard. But don't attempt mock exam 1 right now. Wait until we are done with next week's webinar, which is answering technique, because after learning answering and time management techniques, try to implement these techniques when attempting mock exam 1. So wait until we are done with next week's webinar. So all these resources are shared with you free of charge. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, check our sample material before you do so. And I invite you to join our OCS WhatsApp discussion forum as well. You can click on this button and join it. Via this forum, we'll keep you guys informed about the commencement dates and times of the weekly webinars and workshops. And at the same time, if you have any questions or concerns, you can drop a message. I'm always there to help you guys out. And talking about what we offer two packages, the essential course and the value course. The essential course is intended for those who are coming through the CIMA general route or those who had completed their OTQ exams. So since you have already completed your OTQ exams, you have learned your theory, your job when conducting preparations is simply to improve your application skills. So under the essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis. You will gain access to 3 mock exams with suggested answers. So by attempting just 3 mock exams and conducting revision based on these 3 mocks, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what type of application is expected from you. Since you have already learned your theory, there's absolutely no point of you attempting 6 mock exams. Instead, simply, since you already know your theory, with the intention of improving your application skills, simply attempt the first 3 mocks which we have developed. And you'd also gain access to Preseen analysis videos, 4 videos in total. So your Preseen document is divided into 4 main parts, and focused on each part, we have conducted a Preseen analysis video. And in a little while, you will see what we cover within a typical Preseen analysis video. And once you have watched these videos, you'd gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your Preseen document. You'd also get your hands on the annotated Preseen. You saw what the annotated Preseen looks like a while back. You'd also gain access to the industry analysis slides. I took you through this set of slides partially. And you'd also gain access to the financial analysis slides, which you saw a little while back. You'd gain access to the top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable syllabus areas which can be tested at the exam. And you'd gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this familiarization kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the technicalities behind your OCS exam. And you'd also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat. So all these resources are priced at £199. And talking about the value course, the value course is intended for those who are coming through the exemption route and those who had failed the OCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of bridging these gaps in theory knowledge and fixing application issues, we have included some additional resources on top of what appears within the essential course. So under the essential course, you will gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. So as I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas when developing these 6 mock exams. Therefore, you are not testing your luck at your examination, because if you focus on these mock exams and conduct your revision, you have done your job properly. You need not worry about how much you are going to score at your exam, because we have covered all syllabus areas. That's the guarantee which we provide. So that's why you'd gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Also, you'd gain access to the OTQ revision cards. So, after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you were struggling with a certain theoretical element, simply refer to the revision cards which we have developed. In a jiffy, you are in a position to understand how what is covered under each theoretical concept and what you should cover within your answers as well. And you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform, on which you can attempt all 6 mocks under exam conditions, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Also, you'd gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So let me quickly show you what a typical answer plan looks like. So, on top of the suggested answers, we have gone a step further and developed answer plans or answer structures or study summaries and shared them with you. So when you gain access to these answer plans, you can easily understand how you should structure your answer and how you should tackle theoretical elements and how to work on your application skills. So this is the best way to understand the logic behind each answer. And at the same time, when conducting revision, you are expected to redevelop answer plans. I explained these things in depth in last week's webinar. So when you are redeveloping answer plans, you can easily compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans which we have shared with you, to see whether you still have shortcomings when it comes to your answering technique. So this is the best tool out there to make sure that you gain a good understanding of how to tackle each type of question, how to structure your answers, how to bring in theoretical knowledge, and how to work on your application skills when developing answers. And at the same time, this is the best tool which you can use for revision, because if you are in a position to replicate the answer plans which we have developed, then you will gain extremely good marks at your real examination. So these type of resources are shared with you via our value course, which is priced at £499, which can be paid in 2 installments of £249 each, or you can pay in full and save £100. If so, the price is just £399. So you can invest on your preferred package by clicking on either of these buttons, and all products are available until the 30th of August 2025. All right, so before we move on to the Preseen analysis, let me, in a jiffy, take you through the study plan as well, and let's see what you are intended to achieve within this week. So the weekly study hours dedicated within this week is just 8 hours, and this week is dedicated towards decrypting your Preseen document. So watch the Preseen analysis videos. There are 4 videos in total. Then you'd gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your Preseen document. Then refer to the annotated Preseen on your own, thereby revising your knowledge, and refer to the industry and financial analysis slides, again, engaging yourself with revision. So within this week, tackle your Preseen document, because if you do so, from next week onwards, you can start, attempting mock exams. All right, so that's what you are supposed to do in this week. All right, so having said that, let's move on to the Preseen analysis. And I don't have time to take you through the entire Preseen or conduct the entire Preseen analysis. Instead, I'm simply going to focus your attention towards the internal dynamics of your chosen company partially. All right, so as you know, the Preseen is based on a company which is known as Halfpenny, and this company is into producing and selling packaged bread. So as I mentioned in the industry analysis, we are into manufacturing and selling packaged bread. So as a manufacturer and seller, your knowledge pertinent to standard costing will definitely be tested, because we are manufacturing standardized products. Within the same Preseen, you would have seen the standard cost cards concerning one single product range. So, the examiner is sharing this information with the intention of, giving you a hint of the type of syllabus areas which can be tested, and giving you a hint of how we conduct our production operations. So since the standard cost cards are shared with you, we are utilizing standard costing. And at the same time, so your knowledge pertinent to standard costing can be tested, and not just standard costing, various different costing methods or alternatives to standard costing can be tested, such as digital costing and at the same time, activity-based costing, various different costing methods which fall under absorption and marginal costing principles. All these things, all various different types of costing principles will be tested at your examination. And since we are into manufacturing multiple breads, your knowledge pertaining to multi-product CVP analysis, cost volume profit analysis, or simply put, multi-product break-even point analysis will be tested at the examination. So don't worry, we have covered all these elements within the 6 mocks which we have developed. All right, so let's look at Halfpenny. Halfpenny is based in Keyland, which uses the K dollar as its currency, and this is a small European country. And since inception, sales has increased due to innovation and the company reacting to market needs. So this gives us an indication of what we have done in the past, and based on this, you can forecast what the company intends to achieve in the future as well. Because since inception, since we have been reacting to the market, since we have been innovative, you can expect the same to happen in the future as well. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a drop in demand for general breads, especially this demand drop is due to the health and wellness needs of the younger generation in the market. So because of that, definitely we will have to change the way in which we conduct our business in the future. And this company is owned and managed by the Halfpenny family. And we have been in operation since 1891, or we have been in operation for the past 134 years, which is a significant strength of our business. It's easy to sell our products when we have this type of a legacy. And looking at our operations, we are into producing and selling packaged bread. And we are operating a single production facility, which is based in Keeland. And we are running a distribution center adjacent to the production facility, because we are not involved with B2C sales. We are not selling directly to customers. Instead, we are involved with B2B sales. We are selling to various types of retailers and third parties out there. So because of that, we have to handle distribution. That's why we have our own distribution center, which is adjacent to our production facility. And we employ 2,208 individuals within our production facility. So we have not opted, this highlights the fact that we have not opted for full automation. There is automation within our production facility, but we have our own set of employees as well. And looking at the product range, we are selling sliced packaged breads and packaged bread rolls. All in all, selling 8 different products at the moment. And our management focuses on improving the taste as much as possible, improving the texture, and improving the shelf life, and at the same time expanding our product range, thereby addressing the changing needs of customers in the market. So when taking you through the industry analysis slides, I mentioned the fact that there are certain changes happening within this industry, new trends coming into play. So that's why our management is focusing on expanding our product range as much as possible. That's exactly why recently we appointed a product development director to the board, who is, as the name suggests, as the title suggests, rather, is focused on developing new products, thereby expanding our product range. So at the moment, we are producing 8 different types of products, but in the future, we can definitely expect a scenario where the company tries to introduce new products to the market. And as I mentioned earlier, looking at the sales channels, we are involved with B2B sales. So we are selling our products to grocery stores and national supermarket chains. All right, so that is what's happening within our company. So let me quickly move on to the mission of your chosen company. So our mission is to be the #1 choice for packaged bread, loaves, and rolls in Keelan. So we can easily achieve this, given the fact that we have been in operations since 1891. So this can be used for branding initiatives. So across 130 odd years, definitely we would have gained a lot of exposure. Definitely there's a high level of customer loyalty. So this makes it easy for us to become the #1 choice for packaged bread, loaves, and rolls in Keelan. And our aims, which we have developed with the intention of achieving this mission, is to provide the best taste, because if we provide the best taste, then we can become the #1 choice within the market. And also, we are offering a range of flavors, thereby addressing needs of various different types of customers. And we use high quality ingredients with the intention of increasing our competitive edge. And we always source from sustainable suppliers, because as I mentioned earlier, younger customer segments are interested in sustainability. So it's essential that we listen to or address the needs of these younger set of customers. So that's why we only source from sustainable suppliers. And we also aim to be carbon neutral by 2040, thereby again focusing our attention towards achieving sustainability, getting rid of our emissions, thereby addressing the concerns of younger customer segments. So by achieving these aims, we are well poised to achieve our mission. So concerning the information shared via this area, the syllabus areas which can be tested are tied to the CGMA cost transformation model. So since we are hell-bent on achieving sustainability, definitely when we try to attain sustainability, it will expose us to additional set of costs and complexities. So the CGMA cost transformation model gives us an indication of how to manage these costs and at the same time, how to achieve sustainability, how to balance sustainability and the costs tied to achieving sustainability, the complexities tied to sustainability. So definitely your knowledge pertaining to the CGMA cost transformation model can be tested at your exam. And if you are to really achieve the intended level of sustainability, if you are to really be carbon neutral by 2040, then we have to invest on digital costing systems, because if we invest on digital costing systems, then we can keep track of our suppliers, our production process, our distribution processes, our sales processes. All these things can be kept track of. We can see how the industry is changing, how the changing needs of the industry will impact us in a financial sense. So all these things can be kept track of if we invest on digital costing systems. So your knowledge pertaining to digital costing, the advantages and disadvantages will be tested at the exam, and your knowledge pertaining to corporate social responsibility will be tested, especially given the fact that we believe in sustainability. So when we are trying to achieve sustainability, the first step should be to focus our attention towards achieving corporate social responsibility. So your knowledge pertaining to Carroll's 4-level model, the CSR model, will be tested at the exam. And also your knowledge pertaining to non-financial factors in decision making will be tested, especially concerning KPIs. So expect to recommend non-financial KPIs with the intention of keeping track of our achievement of these aims and our mission. Again, we have covered all these elements within the 6 mocks which we have developed. So that's our mission and our aims. Then let's look at our product range. So as I mentioned earlier, we are producing 2 main product ranges: bread loaves and bread rolls. And looking at the bread loaves first, the standard weight of a typical bread loaf is 800 grams per unit. And these come pre-sliced in regular or thick cuts. And there are 4 different product types under this bread loaf category, which can be considered as white and wholemeal breads, which are high in demand. And we are also manufacturing multi-seed and rustic breads, addressing the needs of the younger customer segments. And similarly, concerning the bread rolls, the standard weight of a typical bread roll is 400 grams per unit. And within one single pack, there are 6 bread rolls. And there are 4 different types of bread rolls which we sell as well, which are white, wholemeal, multi-seed, and rustic. So what you need to remember is, all in all, we are at the moment selling 8 different products. And at the exam, there could be a question in which we are trying to expand our product range. Therefore, we are involved with manufacturing 1 or 2 new products as well. So this is these are the type of products which we offer to the market. And then let's look at the leadership within our chosen organization. So looking at our directors, I'm not going to take you through all this information. You are expected to go through this on your own, because I said that you are simply supposed to, after watching the Preseen analysis videos, you are simply supposed to go through this entire annotated Preseen on your own, thereby revising your knowledge. When doing so, simply read through the highlighted areas. I've summarized the most important points as part of my annotations. So looking at the directors, they are experienced and qualified, and at the same time, they are focused on the future, and therefore they are believing in modernizing our manufacturing and distribution methods. And if we are to modernize, we have to embrace technology. So that's what our directors believe in. And they are also hell-bent about increasing our product range, thereby addressing the various different needs of different customer segments out there. And they are extremely concerned about achieving utmost levels of sustainability. And our HR director wants to have good employee relations. So all in all, our directors are really focused on the future, which is essential, because since inception, we have been innovative. We have been addressing the needs of customers in a changing market. So that's why it's best that our directors are adhering to a similar methodology, thereby trying to be innovative, trying to do something new, with the intention of staying as the market leader within this industry. So concerning this information, the probable exam scenarios which can be thrown at you with regards to increasing our product range, definitely, there will be one single variant in which in which it is highlighted, a scenario in which we are trying to increase our product range. And when increasing our product range, we'd have to go for better technology. Therefore, embracing AI in operations will help us a lot, especially with regards to reducing waste in our production and distribution departments, and at the same time keeping track of demand, because if we can accurately predict demand, then there won't be any type of waste, and AI can be used to keep track of our suppliers, our sustainability initiatives. All these things can be kept track of if we embrace AI. So expect to see a question which tests your understanding about the advantages and disadvantages of embracing AI within this industry. Again, we have covered this within one of our 6 mocks, and there will be a scenario in which we are trying to embrace better sustainability. And since our HR director believes in good employee relations, there could be a scenario where we are planning to pay bonuses, and when we pay these type of bonuses, it will expose us to labor variances, adverse labor variances with regards to the labor rate variance. However, the labor efficiency variance might be favorable. So all these things can be considered, and investing on digital costing systems, because if we are to really modernize and embrace technology, at the same time, when embracing technology, we have to invest on digital costing systems as well. So, expect a question tied to digital costing systems. So tied to these exam scenarios, the syllabus areas which can be tested are tied to sustainability and ethics, the CGMA cost transformation model, because as I mentioned earlier, if we are trying to achieve sustainability, we have to manage our costs tied to achieving sustainability, the complexities tied to achieving sustainability. So that's why your knowledge pertaining to the CGMA cost transformation model will be tested at the exam. Digital and social media marketing methods will be tested, because if we are trying to reach out to new markets, definitely we have to be conversant with how to do digital and social media marketing. So your knowledge areas will be tested, and the current versus the alternative costing systems will be tested. As I mentioned earlier, at the moment, we are utilizing standard costing. However, there are alternatives. So you have to be conversant with all alternative costing systems which appear within your P1 syllabus. So your knowledge pertaining to digital costing will be tested. Working capital management, especially when we are introducing a new product range to the market, we have to manage our short-term cash flows. So you are expected to know how to manage short-term cash flows. Therefore, your knowledge pertaining to working capital management will be tested. Your knowledge with regards to variance analysis will be tested, as I mentioned earlier, tied to labor rate and efficiency, as well as variable overhead efficiency and fixed overhead volume variances will be tested. IAS 16 property, plant and equipment will be tested, especially if the scenario highlights a situation where we are embracing technology, therefore we are purchasing new machines or equipment, or else we can opt for a lease as well. If so, your knowledge pertaining to IFRS 16 leases will be tested. And when updating our machines, when purchasing new machines, we might have to sell off our old machines. When selling off our old machines, some of the machines might remain unsold at the end of the financial year. Therefore, your knowledge pertaining to non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations, which fall under IFRS 5, will be tested. And expect to suggest KPIs tied to digital marketing, as well as non-financial KPIs to keep track of non-financial performance of our company. And also expect to address questions tied to you having to explain the benefits of using KPI dashboards as well. All right, so that's how our board works. And looking at the finance department, you are reporting to the finance manager. So you are at the lowest level of the organization. You are reporting to the finance manager, who in turn reports to the finance senior manager. and the finance senior manager reports to the finance director of your chosen company. Having said that, I don't have time to take you through all this information. I've already covered them within the 4 Preseen analysis videos, which you can see within our student dashboard. Finally, I simply want to direct your attention towards this news article, which appears towards the very end of your Preseen document. So this news article gives us information about the changes which are happening within our industry and what Halfpenny intends to achieve in the future. So looking at the industry dynamics, there's a lot of tech advances rather happening within this industry, which had led to modernizing production processes. Why are companies trying to modernize production processes with the intention of reducing cost of production, getting rid of waste and any type of inefficiency? So I said, when taking you through the industry analysis slides, I mentioned the fact that players within this industry are concerned about their costs, concerned about their efficiency. So that's why most players are trying to achieve, a high level of modernization when it comes to production. And also, there is a high tendency to adhere to quality control standards as well, because as I mentioned earlier, when conducting the industry analysis, let me quickly take you through these slides. I said that when looking at the core value propositions, players are trying to offer convenience, consistency, and achieve cost effectiveness. So with the intention of achieving cost effectiveness, there's a lot of modernization being adopted. And at the same time, with the intention of achieving consistency, players try to stick to quality control standards as much as possible. And also, the major players within the industry are going for faster production and distribution, because as I told you earlier, the shelf life is just 7 to 14 days. So our products expire soon within just 1 or 2 weeks. So because of that, we have to really focus our attention towards increasing our throughput and increasing the efficiency of distribution. And extending the shelf life by using CBPs or various different preservatives is a concern of this industry as well. And at the same time, players try to adhere to food safety standards, thereby adopting nutritional labeling, especially addressing the needs of younger customer segments. So that's what is happening within the industry. And looking at the production priorities of your chosen company, Halfpenny, we are focused on adopting high-speed mixing and using the CBP method with the intention of extending the shelf life of our products. And we are investing on a lot of automation. So that's why I said your knowledge pertaining to IAS 16, IFRS 16, as well as IFRS 5 can be tested at the exam, because whenever we are opting for automation, we have to get rid of our old machines and purchase new machines, and investments tied to these things will lead to costs in the short and the long term, and how it impacts our working capital. All these elements can be tested at the exam. And looking at the future of the industry, when looking at the future of the industry, we are focused, we are faced with certain threats as well, because due to climate change, we are experiencing, the farmers are experiencing crop failure, and we depend on these farmers. So because of that, it might impact our industry in an adverse manner. And most players are trying to achieve sustainability by sourcing from sustainable sources. Most players are trying to minimize food waste as much as possible and optimize resource use, thereby trying to reduce package waste and improve supply chain efficiency. So as you know, looking at the future, supplier relationships is key, and at the same time, achieving sustainability and increasing efficiency levels is extremely important. And looking at the specific innovations within your chosen company, our board members are trying to introduce new recipes, flavors, and formulations, thereby trying to introduce whole grain, low carb, and organic breads in the future. So at the moment, we are not selling these products. We are not manufacturing these products, but the examiner is sharing a hint with you about the type of products which we intend to introduce to the market in the future. So tied to all this information, the probable exam scenarios which can be tested are with regards to expanding our product range. And when doing so, we will be exposed to sales variances. So you have to be conversant with all different types of sales variances. And when going for automation, we'd have to acquire or lease new machines, as I mentioned earlier. And when doing so, we might have to sell our old machines, and we'd have to adopt a high level of automation and artificial intelligence with the intention of increasing efficiency and managing our costs in the short and the long term. So tied to all this information, the syllabus areas which can be tested is with regards to what if analysis. So you have to be conversant with what if analysis and sensitivity analysis is. There's a good question within one of our mock exams which highlights both these forecasting models, and your knowledge pertinent to decision trees will definitely be tested at the exam. You need to have, you should not have the capability to draw a decision tree. Instead, the decision tree will be shared with you. Your job is to explain this decision tree. So again, we have covered this within one of our mocks which we have developed. Your knowledge pertinent to multi-product break-even point analysis will be tested, especially given the fact that we are selling new, multiple product ranges at the moment. And at the same time, we intend to introduce new products to the market. When doing so, definitely we have to utilize these BEP graphs, and your knowledge pertinent to variance analysis, not just sales variances, other various different types of variances, all different types of variances which appear within your P1 syllabus will be tested. And when it comes to acquiring new machines, IAS 16 property, plant and equipment might be tested. And when selling old property, plant and equipment, you have to revalue them. Again, revaluations are highlighted. How to conduct revaluations are highlighted within IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. And you will have to account for depreciation, again, which falls under IAS 16 property, plant and equipment. And we might go for, rather than purchasing assets outright, we might go for leasing agreements. If so, leasing new right of use assets which fall under your IFRS 16 leases will be tested. And how to adopt AI in operations, the advantages and disadvantages of doing so. And when we are opting for automation, we might have to get rid of some of our employees. So you need to have a good understanding of how to handle redundancies in the most ethical manner, and make or buy decisions. So whether to go for outsourcing or whether to produce something in-house will be tested at the exam. There's a good exam standard question tied to make or buy decisions within one of our mock exams. And suggesting KPIs to keep track of any type of inefficiency will be tested at the exam, because some type of inefficiency can be highlighted within the scenario. So your job is to understand the problem at hand and suggest KPIs with the intention of helping the board to overcome these problems. So your knowledge pertinent to recommending KPIs will be tested, and short-term investment or financing options. At the moment, we have a lot of cash at our disposal. So if that is the case, rather than holding on to our cash, we might, definitely we can achieve a better outcome financially by investing our, additional cash flows in the short term. And at the same time, for instance, if we are introducing a new product to the market, it results in financial outflows. So because of that, we might run out of cash in the short term. So in order to manage these short-term cash deficiencies, we might have to go for short-term financing options. So both these elements can be tested at the exam, and various different risk attitudes, and based on these risk attitudes, where the type of decisions, various different decision makers might take, all these things can be tested at the exam. Your knowledge pertinent to payoff tables, decision trees, expected values, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation, all these forecasting models will be tested at the exam. And value of perfect information, how to compute the value of perfect information will be tested at the exam. and limitations of these various risk management tools will be tested at the exam. So don't worry, there's a lot which you need to cover. Yes, however, we have covered all these elements within the mocks which we have developed. So likewise, throughout this Preseen document, you'd see, probable exam scenarios as well as syllabus areas which can be tested tied to these exam scenarios. So we have made sure to cover all these elements when developing the 6 mocks. So your job is to go through the pre-scene analysis videos to understand what appears within your pre-scene, and after doing so, stick to our study plan, thereby attempting a mock exam per week. Conduct revision focused on the weekly mock exam. If you do so, you need not worry. You have taken steps to cover all syllabus areas when conducting preparations. And since you are expected to attempt each mock exam on the exam conditions, you have also taken steps to fine-tune your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. If you have covered these elements, you will pass for sure at your real examination. All right, so that's what I wanted to highlight. So those who stuck to our study plan achieved extremely good marks in the previous case study sitting. So we achieved a 96% pass rate in the February OCS sitting. And this student, after failing on multiple occasions, invested on our services and was able to achieve 98 marks in the first attempt itself with us, although having failed the exam on multiple occasions previously. After sticking to our study plan, achieved 98 marks when the pass mark was just 80. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study process and therefore stick to our study plan. All right, so having said that, we are moving to the Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk or drop us a message via the chat. So I'm going to pause the recording. Folks, thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything properly. And if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message so that our admin staff can get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can directly email us at info@study@tcs.com, or simply WhatsApp us on this WhatsApp number. And I urge you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of these weekly webinars and workshops are uploaded to the YouTube handle. And also via TikTok, you'd gain access to 6 videos, which highlights a pre-seen mind map. So from today until the day of your exam, keep watching these 6 TikTok videos over and over so that you'd remember what appears, the most important points which appear within your pre-seen document. So you need not try and memorize all this information. We have covered this for you. So simply use our resources to make sure that you remember what appears within your pre-seen document. And if you are yet to read the blog post, visit our website, click on the blog area, and read the blog post which we have developed concerning Halfpenny. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the end of the pre-scene analysis session. I hope you gained something out of this session, and I invite you to attend the 3rd webinar without fail in order to learn answering and time management techniques. So within this week, I hope you'd decrypt the pre-scene document, thereby watching the 4 pre-scene analysis videos and going through the financial analysis, industry analysis slides which we have developed, as well as the annotated pre-scene. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next week at 10 a.m. UK or 9 GMT. Thank you. And
Thank you.
You're welcome.